me, Courtney, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a Throwback Thursday situation. I was actually interested in this foundation a long time ago, but I was going to do a full face and just get everything at once. However, Sephora had it on sale. It is the Huda Beauty #Faux Filter Foundation. Today's review is going to be a little bit all over the place, so just bear with me. With all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the demo portion. Yeah. Alright, so this is what the actual packaging looks like. It is $40 for 1.18 ounces. It comes in 30 shades. I got the shade 410G Brown Sugar. When it first came out, a lot of people were saying that this oxidizes really bad, and Sephora actually matched me to like 510R on the website, which was definitely going to be too rich for my skin tone. So I went with this shade thinking that it's going to be a little lighter when I put it on, but it will oxidize. However, it doesn't oxidize well enough. So I do believe I should have went with the shade 420G Toffee, and I think that would have been a perfect match. It does come with a little sticker on it. I don't know if this is like recent, they start doing this because of Corona, but I do enjoy that foundations are now doing this so that you know your product has or hasn't been tampered with. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go on this side with a sponge, and it does say about 2 pumps should work for the entire face, which I've been doing that and I think it's perfect. Okay, so now this is without foundation, and this is with the sponge. I do actually prefer the way that it looks with the sponge. One thing I did want to mention about this foundation, it does cling to like fine hairs and stuff like that. I don't know if it's just because of the mattness of it all, but it will cling to fine lines, small hairs. It does get in my smile lines a little bit, not to the point where it's like caked in, but it definitely shows up, and it shows up way earlier than you would expect, if that makes sense. Like it's starting to kind of sink in there already. But I'm gonna go in on the other side with my Fenty foundation brush in 110. Alright, so now this is with the brush, which I do feel like you'll get a little bit more coverage with the brush. And then this is with the sponge. The one thing that I did notice about this foundation, regardless of the way that you apply it, it will still, at least on my skin, it still leaves a little bit of pores open. Now I've tried my Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. I've tried a few different primers that are like more pore filling. Today I ended up using the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer because I just figured it was going to be the closest thing to the Huda Beauty face primer, because I definitely didn't want to buy another one. But with that being said, I mean, it is pretty smoothing. My skin looks nice, minus the fact that it's like super pale on my skin tone. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup, and we can come back and have a little chat. At the current time, it is 10:20, and I actually have somewhere I have to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go ahead and go out with this face. I haven't put any setting powder or finished my eyes up, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head out, come back, finish my makeup, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so this is a face that we're essentially going to be rocking today. A little bit earlier, it was about, my appointment was at 10:30, so I left the house about 10:20. So that's actually when the foundation went on. It is now 1:52, so I've had this makeup on for about 4.5 hours, something like that. That being said, I was also wearing my mask, and I did touch up a little bit, which I will let you guys see what I did to touch up. I did touch up a little bit just so that this foundation can have a more fair shot, considering I did have to step out for a second. Looking at it up close, I do feel like it looks pretty decent. I do have a little bit of oil coming through on my nose. I feel like I look shiny in this area, but that's not really oils coming through. Now I do have creasing, which I think I mentioned earlier. I do get a slight amount of creasing with this foundation. I'm gonna actually give this foundation another 4 to 5 hours so you guys can see what a full day looks like. Alright guys, I am back, and this is what my face is looking like. Alright, it is currently 10:13. So in total, I've essentially had this foundation on for almost 12 hours. It's like a few minutes shy of that. Now, as far as the actual consistency of this foundation, I didn't get a chance to show you guys this earlier, but it is pretty thick. It's one of those foundations that it's super duper full coverage. That was just one pump. It does spread pretty nicely. However, it's one of those stick and move foundations, so you are gonna have to move quickly, and if you can move quickly, I think it does end up looking really nice. There hasn't been a time that I can sort of nullify it, if that makes sense. So it's literally 1 to 2 pumps is gonna give you full coverage. I can't get like a medium coverage with this foundation. I feel like for most foundations, when I do put them on, it feels pretty comfortable. This one is a little bit more heavy, for lack of a better phrase. It just feels heavy from the time you put it on till I guess 12 hours later. But literally, I did wear this foundation a few different times. I've worn it for 6 hours. I think I wore it for 8 hours the other day. And the truth is, at the end of the day, regardless of how much time has gone by, it is very heavy, very oily, very thick feeling on my face. There have been times that I've worn this where I feel like my nose area gets really cakey. So it is one of those foundations you want to make sure you really work it in that situation. And as far as how everything looks now, of course you can see I'm super oily in the T-zone area, super oily down here. You guys see that? Yeah, at this point it's very transferable. That's another thing that I've actually noticed with this foundation. Upon initial application, the last time I wore it, I did end up, after setting it and doing stuff, I literally touched my face and the makeup was still able to come off. So I guess I feel like this foundation almost is like a layer that you can feel and remove, if that makes sense. For what I'm looking at now, this for me is too much. You know what I mean? Especially for something that's supposed to be a matte foundation and I have dry skin. With every time that I've worn it, for me to get this oily, it's not my skin. It's like it's the foundation breaking apart, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I've been trying the Too Faced Born This Way matte foundation, as well as the NARS Soft Matte Complete not concealer foundation, and those two are very matte, and my skin does not do the same thing, doesn't feel the same way, and I don't get like this. In fact, those are actually a little bit more drying, but we'll talk about that later. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but it does cling to fine hairs, dry skin patches, and all of that. So if I had an eczema breakout or something like that, I definitely would not pick this foundation for it. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, you guys probably know by now, Huda Beauty really loves putting that perfumey rose scent in a lot of her products, and this is no different. It hasn't broke me out, so that's good. But if you are somebody that is allergic to fragrance, if you're somebody who has really sensitive skin, I'd be a little bit more cautious around this. Now, I did want to mention one of the times that I did put this foundation on, I tried it with the Huda Beauty Tantour cream. For most of the looks that I do using that Tantour cream, it goes on really smooth. I don't get any patchiness or anything like that, but for whatever reason, it doesn't really work that well with this. Ended up not only getting patchy and skipping areas, but when I tried to sort of cover it up a little bit with my regular bronzer, still didn't quite go on the way that I wanted it to. But aside from that, everything else that I've tried with it goes on pretty well. That was the only issue that I had with that product. So normally I would have like more positive things to say about a foundation. Unfortunately for me, this just did not hit any of the notes that I can like really compliment it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I just feel like this is just not the foundation for me. I do know that Huda Beauty's coming out with stick foundation, so maybe those will be a little bit more of a long wear, maybe a little bit more on the radiant or balanced side of things. And I am still gonna try that one out. I'm actually really curious about it because it's a stick foundation and I love stick foundations. But anyway, as far as this actual foundation goes and would I recommend it? No. I did say I was gonna powder, so before I get out of here, I'm gonna do that. I think honestly with the powder, it's getting even more matte than it got when I originally put it on. It actually doesn't look that bad with the powder on top, and it does take away a little bit of the icky feeling. However, it's not holding the oils at bay completely because it's still trying to come back right here, you know what I mean? But it does help it from being as transferable, if that makes sense. You'll still get a little bit, but it's not as bad. All right guys, I seriously apologize if this video is all over the place or seems like way off key for what I typically do. I feel like today was one of those days where I was literally trying to catch up to myself, if that makes sense, while still trying to like be creative and do some stuff. Like I was just doing too much. That's really what it comes down to. And I apologize if this video is chaotic. hopefully it was still helpful in some way. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if it is in your heart to do so, and I will see you guys in the next one, and I will be better next time. Bye.